Welcome to Pro Practice, your guide to refine, enliven, and illuminate the piano repertoire. I'm Josh Wright, and today's episode is part of the new technique series, which is where we go through scales, arpeggios, triads, and seventh chords in each key. And each video will present a new technique that you can use to spice up your practice and to not just get caught in the trap of only using the metronome slow to fast for your exercises. So today we're going to go over 9 rhythms. These are more advanced. This is why I've saved it for the end of the series. And today let's go ahead and start off with arpeggios. On each video I try to alternate which one of these concepts I start with. So today we'll do arpeggios. Let's just go over the basics of fingering. And for B-flat major, I have something a little different than a lot of people recommend. Like Hannon, they recommend the left hand is 3-2-1, 3-2-1, 3-2-1, 3-2-1, which works fine on its own, but I find that when you put it together with the right hand, which is doing, like, you can start with 3 or 2 or 4, whatever you want, but 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, I find that it's a little more difficult to put it together because your hands aren't symmetrical. They're crossing over at different points. And so what I like to do is I like to start 2-1 in the left hand and then 4-2-1, 4-2-1, 4-2-1. Now your hands are going to be parallel and symmetrical. 4s and 2s, 4s and 2s, 1s, 4s and 2s, 4s and 2s. If you like 3-2-1 in the left hand, you can tell I don't practice that one very much because I like the other one. But you can do whatever you'd like. Okay, so to do a 9 rhythm, we have to go over slowly how to do this first. If you've watched the 5 and the 7 rhythms videos, I think those were a few videos back in this series. And we went over that you have to be very light on your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then on 9, we're going to throw our wrist up and be nice and loud. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you have a partial one. 9 rhythms are probably a little more useful on scales just because they get you have more notes to deal with. Arpeggios, it's done before 3 repetitions are even through. But let's try that a little faster. Faster. I always lose count. What you can do to help you remember rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like, you know, stumbling in your mind, you can think 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're doing something like the arpeggio, you can just make a mental note. I'm going to stop on the D on the way down. So I stop on the F, stop on the D. Okay, let's try left hand. You can stop longer on your long notes if you're struggling as well. Wait. And these are really tough. I would not start out by trying these. I would start with 5 rhythms and then go to 7 and then go to 9. Let's try it together. Let's see. Just explain really quick in case this is your first video that you're watching of this series. The reason 5, 7, and 9 rhythms are so good, first of all, they're extremely awkward, so when you go back to normal practicing, it seems much easier. The second thing is they don't lend themselves, this kind of goes in the awkward thing, they don't lend themselves to like specific rhythms like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it starts in very weird places. The other thing, the reason we're doing this is it gives us little bursts of speed. So you can imagine a 5 rhythm will be a smaller burst of speed than a 9 rhythm. And so 9 rhythms are a little more advanced because you have to do a longer burst of speed and then stop. And then a longer burst of speed and then stop. What that does is it helps your mind organize the music more easily when you go back to normal practice. And it also makes it so that you're used to stopping at any given spot. So if you have like a weakness like that or something, you're gonna have to stop in very weird places. Okay, now the trick to 5, 7, and 9 rhythms, especially 9 rhythms, this is why this takes so dang long, is you don't want to just start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and then move on in your practice. You also want to start from the second note and the third note, fourth note, fifth note, sixth note, seventh note, eighth note, and the ninth note. That will give you 9 different variations on that rhythm. So for instance, if we want to start on this, make sure you got your right fingering. Okay, and then from the third note, up. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are super hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the way, I would sit and work each of these until it was perfect. I'm just doing this to save time so I don't hopefully bore you too much here. Again, sometimes coming up with new ways to work on scales and arpeggios might seem like a dry thing, but it keeps things much more interesting if you have like 12 different ways to practice these, which by the end of this series you'll have actually more than that because I go over several concepts in certain videos. So you'll have over 12 ways to practice your arpeggios and scales and triads and seventh chords by the end of this series. All right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you can do it from 9 just to help you with that top one, but as you notice, you're not even going to get 2 full repetitions. So again, this is very useful in scales, somewhat useful in arpeggios, just to help you, but it's over really quick. So just expect that. All right, let's try B flat minor. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or sorry. Sometimes when you're counting off your groups, you go to the end of the group rather than just to the B flat. Again, what I'm thinking of is keeping very fluid wrist, and I'm going to keep my elbow pretty stable. I don't want to be going in and out a lot like this, because if you do that, it causes inefficiency, and when you get into higher speeds, you won't be able to keep up. Whereas this is very efficient. The other thing that makes this particular arpeggio difficult is you're crossing over to all these black keys, and you can slip off easily. So if you need to, practice eyes closed. And you'll notice it might not be like this one. That crossover might not be hard because of the positioning in front of your body. But this one might be more difficult right there because you're up here. So maybe I'm missing that one. Another thing is sometimes I cross my legs under just while I'm doing this. And a good thing to do is just to pretend like you're riding a horse or riding on a motorcycle or something. Plant your feet into the ground. That'll give you better balance, and usually it helps a little with accuracy as well. Okay, now this one, I will use 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1s. Those are parallel, or symmetrical. You could do a 9 rhythm. Let me do 1 real quick, then we'll move on. 1. Okay, and you just work those. With 9 rhythms and 5 and 7 rhythms, really any rhythm that you're doing, you could do 2, 3, 4, 5 rhythms as an introduction to any difficult passage. You want your short notes to be light, and your long notes are kind of a resetting. I kind of mentioned that earlier. But you also want your short notes to be in the speed that you want the passage. So if you're wanting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's going to prepare you, obviously, for that speed. If you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, this is going to prepare you for... That seems like a really obvious statement. With 9 rhythms, it's very apparent. But when you're doing 2 rhythms, some people don't think long term. They might go, well, that's going to help you get that. That's not really going to help you much with speed. So whatever rhythm you're doing, since this is the last video of this technique series on rhythms, just remember that. However fast you want your whole passage to go, you need to make your short notes go that quickly. All right, let's move on to scales. Okay, B flat major. We have 4s on B flats. Okay, so let's go over this fingering really slowly. 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2. By the way, that 2 is actually incorrect. If you're thinking really strictly, it should be a 4 because you have 4s on every other B flat. Starting off, I don't like that awkward cross under. I like 2 because 2 is just right there. You could also use 3. I think 4 is a little more awkward. It's not that big of a deal. You do whatever feels comfortable for you. Okay, let's try the left hand. Fingering's real basic. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to have 4s on E flats. Again, the whole reason I stress where to look for your 4s is because it comes once per octave. Okay, so every other finger, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, and 1 have already come twice, but 4 only came once. So if you can isolate where that 4 goes, you'll know the fingering for the rest of the passage because scales are always linear. It always follows a pattern on your hand. It will never go like 4, 2, 5, 3, 1. Nothing like that. It's always linear. 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, or in right hand, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Together slowly. Whoops. Okay, let's do a 9 rhythm very slowly from the first note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the hardest thing with 9 rhythms is a lot of times just keeping track of where you are. So let's count it a different way. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Oh, 4 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Yep, I go to that. I keep thinking it's B flat. Oh, wrong fingering. Keep screwing up that left hand fingering. And so forth. Okay, I'm going to move on just for time's sake. Let's just try that smooth now. Okay, sure enough, it's so easy when you go back to normal. All right, so that's another benefit of the 9 rhythms. It just makes the scale seem easy after you've gone through the pain of doing all those. And again, on those ones, it makes sense to start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and try it from each of those different notes all the way through the whole scale. Okay, let's try B flat minor. 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2. Again, 2 is convenient. If I'm going too fast for you, go back and check out my C major video, or my key of C video. I go over all the different types of minor scales, and this one is a harmonic minor scale. You might be wondering why I'm doing that. I explain it in that video, okay? Harmonic minor seems to be the most common anyway. All right, so 2, 1, 4th, let's see. 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2. Then back down. So we have 4s on our G flats. Now, 9 rhythms are just as awkward, so it's let's, for the heck of it, they're just totally awkward is what I mean. So rather than saying, okay, let's start from note 1 again, let's just, for the heck of it, start from note 2. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, whoops. And you know what? In my mind, I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm not thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's too hard to keep track of that. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, if you have a real mathematical brain, you'll notice a little pattern here. You start on C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we went from C, or in other words, our previous long note would have been B flat, and then we stopped on a D, then we stopped on an F, and then we stopped on an A natural. So you're always going up a third, okay? So you're always ending, so D flat, F, A natural, F, D flat. And so if you want to think, okay, I'm going to stop a third difference from this. D flat, F, A, F, D flat. And obviously when you do your turnaround, it goes back to the A, not to a third off from A. Okay, if that makes any sense. If not, just totally forget that. It's not very necessary. All right, let's move on to our triads and our 7th chords. Okay, so let's just go over the fingering first. 5, 3, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1. Okay, again, check out my C major video if you need me to go slower. I go very slow explaining everything in that one. 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 3, 1. Okay, and the whole reason is because 2, 5 is where the 4th is. 2, 5 is where the 4th is. Okay, makes sense? All right, let's give this a try. Okay, slide your 3rd down to minor. Slide your 5th down to diminished and keep your fingering. Slide to major and sharp the 5th for augmented. And I like on augmented, well, it's up to you. If you want to do all 1, 3, 5 on this augmented, it works as well. So, we've gone over all those. How do you apply a 9 rhythm to this? I'm not going to make you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2. That'd be way too hard. Okay? I'm going to have you do that. And let's do it over the course of 2 octaves. So all we're doing is we're going to break our chords up. So rather than playing solid, 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 we're just going to break them up. We're going to go all the way up to there and then back down. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. That feels like a cakewalk after doing all those crazy rhythms. Let's try minor. And the faster, the better, but make sure that your hands are always lined up. That's one of the dangers of doing these intense rhythms, is that your hands don't necessarily always stay lined up. Let's see. Again, I would go through all of these hands alone first and then hands together. And augmented. And then do it from the second note, third note, fourth note, fifth note if you're struggling all the way up to the ninth note. Sometimes you don't need to do every repetition before you master it. And some students have emailed me and they've said, do I need to go through every single rhythm if the passage is already mastered? No. Again, rhythms aren't an end unto themselves. They're a means to an end. The end should be perfection, or as close to perfection as you can get. Obviously, music isn't meant to always be note perfect, but you practice to get it note perfect, and then in the performance, hopefully it stays as perfect as possible. But you can practice until it's solid, and then you can move on. You don't need to spend any more time drilling an exercise. That's why I don't believe that teachers should just say, okay, slow to fast with metronome every single day only on your scales. This is why I've done this technique series. It's not only to teach you your scales and arpeggios and triads and seventh chords with the right fingering and give you... I've mostly done it to give you new ways to practice these things, to spur some more creativity in your practice. Because I know for me, even sometimes now, after all these hundreds of videos I've made online, I sometimes think in my practice, okay, how should I practice this? And I'll just go back to slow to fast, and I'm just like, come on, you're being dumb. Why are you doing this? And then I'll just think back through some of the videos I've done, and I'll say, yeah, that will work here, or this will work there. I'll think back to previous lessons I've had. So hopefully this is a source of inspiration for you to spice up your practice. All right, let's try seventh chords. Let's just go over the chords quickly. So far as notes, and then we'll apply our 9 rhythms to it. Okay, so you have B-flat major chord with an octave on top. That's just a triad plus octave. Slide down a half step on top. That's your B-flat major 7 chord. Okay, slide down a half step on top. That is a B-flat dominant 7th chord. Okay, slide down a half step on your 3rd. That's a B-flat minor 7 chord. Slide down a half step on your 5th, that's a half diminished chord. And this is spelled F flat. You don't want to say E natural because you always have to manipulate your original tones. So if your original tones are B flat, D, F, A, B, D, F, A, you have to always manipulate the flats or sharps around that. You don't want to change the actual tone. So this would not be G sharp, that would be A flat. Hopefully that makes sense. Spelling is important because it changes the type of chord it is. Okay, so, and then from half diminished, you slide the 7th down to get to fully diminished. B flat, D flat, F flat, A double flat. B, D, F, A double flat. Okay? Okay, let's go over all of the inversions slowly with one hand so that you can see everything. Both cameras set up, this overhead cam as well, so you can see my fingers as you go. All right, let's try hands together. We're just going to skip left hand. Do left hand on your own, but we're just going to move on. All right, let's try the 9 rhythms. So, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's try left hand. Let's see. Let's see. I keep going too far. Sometimes you might find that doing it hands together is actually even easier because one hand is dominant and will kind of lead the other along. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Of course, you want to master each hand individually, but sometimes if you want to skip ahead and do hands together and then go back to hands alone, that might help your left hand. If you're right-handed, it might help your left hand to be kind of carried along with right hand, then go do its own thing, and vice versa. If you're left-handed, maybe it carries your right hand for a while. Okay? So, just to recap everything, let's go through. We started with arpeggios today. So now, at the end of each of these videos, I just like to go through everything smoothly. Up. Okay, B-flat major scale. B-flat minor scale. B-flat triads and inversions. Okay, and then 7th chords. This has been a lot of fun. Again, this is the last video that I'm going to be doing based on rhythms. We have one more video left in the series. We've gone around the whole circle of fifths: C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp or G flat, D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat was today. So we have F major coming up to end the series for these exercises and giving you some tips to make you as efficient as possible in your practice sessions. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, my email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. Thank you so much for your support of Pro Practice.